socks. Oh, got it.
Welcome to Binary Jazz, a podcast about socks. I am Chris, Jazz Sequence on the internet. I'm joined as always by my friends Gary, who's Binary Gary on the internet, and Allison Plus on the internet. We are collectively Binary Jazz on the internet. That's where we live. And this is a podcast that we do, and we're recording at a different time, and
Regularly.
we're all kind of weird and punchy, I guess.
I'm
Maybe about to fall asleep. I don't know.
not weird and punchy.
You're
Can we just tell
same
sock
old
stories?
Gary.
Yeah. Can we just tell sock stories today, though?
No.
Please?
No.
There's some great sock stories. There's some great socks. So.
You have some great socks stories.
Yeah.
Sounds like a children's book you should write.
Yeah, it does.
Let me make a note of that. Hold on. I'm not even kidding. I have like a whole section
We
on
can
my
call it
iNotes. Book ideas. Where's my book ideas?
Sam's Superior Socks Stories.
Sam's Superior.
Yeah, or Sam's solitary sock stories for the lost sock.
For the one lost sock, yeah. Well, that could be a story within Sam's Superior Sock Stories, is Sam's
Yeah.
Solitary Sock Story, which is just a story about the one
The adventure
sock
that the
got
one
lost.
sock goes on.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's written a book like that already.
Actually,
Yeah.
let's see.
I want a story about a sad little sock.
Yes. Duplicate that tab.
Imagine how
for me,
brave you have to be
please.
a solo sock.
Okay.
It's a scary move because at any moment your owner's going to be like, I guess I'm never finding its mate. I guess
Write
the sock is
me
worthless.
a children's story called Sam's Solitary Sock
Oh no.
Story
I hate
about a
ChatGPT.
lonely. I'm using Bard this time. About
You
a
don't have to
lonely
read it out
sock.
loud.
About a lonely sock that gets
I bought these socks, I don't know, a couple
separated
years
from its
ago
mate.
for walking socks.
For the sole purpose of like putting them in walking shoes or just walking
Yes.
around in socks?
No, just in walking shoes. And they have a left and a right sock. So I want to buy those again because that's just complication my life doesn't need.
It's a lot of cognitive work when you're not.
And I will confess, there are times when I have worn 2 right socks and 2 left socks because it's just not worth the hassle when sorting laundry to be like, oh, here's a left one, here's a left one, here's a right one. Do I have 1.5 sets? Do I have 2 sets somehow with 3 lefts and 1 right? It's just.
I wonder what's different about them.
Well, the left one has the L on the right side, and the right one has the R on the left side. So right over your big toe.
Yeah.
But
That's it?
I mean, they're not asymmetrical in any way. I mean, they look like they should be, but they don't fit.
Huh.
Having worn them, I was like, well, I hope I don't get any blisters. Like, no, nothing happened. It was fine. It was like any other dang sock.
I love the idea of like, ooh, I'm rebelling against the system. Nothing.
Like, am I gonna like walk like I've got on 2 left shoes or something? It's like, no, nothing, literally nothing happened. It was perfectly fine.
Really anticlimactic.
I know. Well, at least I got to sneak a sock story in, so
It's true.
I was vetoed on that very quickly.
I'm reading this.
Thank goodness Chris is distracted by AI.
Yeah.
That's the real thing in AI that's unaccounted for is how much time do we spend constructing prompts and disappointed in the responses.
It reminds me of when you're talking to someone and they check their Apple Watch and you're like, you're not paying attention.
I asked it I added the in the style of Dr. Seuss to the prompt. And it wrote me a poem, but it wasn't rhyming.
So it didn't understand Dr. Seuss at all?
Right, that's sort of how I feel. So then I said, "Can you make the poem rhyme?" And I'm looking at
said,
it. I haven't
nah.
read it. I guess it maybe rhymes. Yeah, I guess it does. I will read you what Bard has provided.
Can I say though that either something rhymes or it doesn't? There's no like.
Well, yeah, but
rhymes.
there are some things that like there's some things that in Shakespeare when you read it today without an accent or with an American accent or North American accent, it definitely doesn't rhyme. But if you read it in the accent of the time, then perhaps it might rhyme. But I don't know because I was not alive then. But there's definitely lines in Shakespearean plays and poems that don't rhyme but feel like they should.
Yeah, but that's just Shakespeare is. I mean,
Uh,
I'll say it. Shakespeare, not great.
I'm sorry.
Shakespeare is no Dr.
As
Seuss.
a
I think
full
that's what
on
you meant to
theater
say.
kid, I'm going to have to just by default disagree with that.
There's just too much, too much Shakespeare.
I mean,
I think a
I'm not going to
product of the
say
times, you know?
I'm not going to say that he is like everything was a hit. Like he just kept pumping out hits with
Hits
every
after
new
hits. That's
yeah.
Shakespeare.
Just
Shakespeare was the
top
U2
50 every
of his day,
yeah.
right? Like there was like a good album in there and then a lot of hype for some stuff, and then they forced it onto your iTunes library and you were like, what
Right.
is this crap? Like that was when it crossed a line.
Sam was a lonely sock who lived in a drawer with lots of other socks.
I guess I'll delete this note.
You're ruining Gary's $1 million idea list.
Your $1 million
It wasn't
idea is probably
even,
better than this.
there's no capitalism involved. It was just for
One
the fun of
day,
it. But I don't.
Sam's owner did the laundry and Sam was separated from his mate. Oh, what a tragedy. Hmm. Sam was sad and all alone. He wandered around the
Wait,
house looking for his
tragedy and
mate.
mate? Were they pronouncing
Yeah,
mate?
yeah. No, they were no tragedy and laundry, I think. He wandered around the house looking for his mate on the phone. It doesn't have a good scheme, like a good cadence either. But Sam couldn't
Maybe
find
that's
his mate. Maybe I should ask you to do it in iambic pentameter.
Yeah. Write it in the style of Shakespeare.
But Sam couldn't find his mate, and he became more and more lonely. He felt like he was in a state like he was going to get conned. I don't know
that's
what
ever
that's.
been a socks worry.
I don't know that is. I don't know what that's supposed to rhyme with. One day, Sam was sitting on the floor when he heard a voice. He thought he was going to snore. "Hello," said the voice. Sam looked up and saw a little girl with a big voice. "My name is Lucy," said the girl. "What's your name?" "My name is Sam," said the sock. I'm a lonely sock," he said, with a shock. "Don't be sad," said Lucy. "I'll be your friend," she said with a swish. And so Lucy and Sam became friends. They played together every day. They were the best of friends. This sucks. This is really bad.
You could do a much better job. The only thing I like from that is the idea of a sock sitting on the floor, like kind of propped up.
I want an image of that, yeah.
Yeah.
But based on the last time we requested images of Matt Mullenweg throwing finger guns,
No, who knows?
I'm just this AI thing is like, so it's you too. It's a lot of hype.
Let's see what ChatGPT can come up with.
No, let's not.
You're
How about I tell you about
upset.
some more? How about I tell you about some more pairs of my socks?
Sure.
I'm equally as not thrilled with that idea.
I'm actually not wearing socks today, so there's that. This is crazy. It was like 70 degrees when I went outside this morning, very, very, very early.
Wow.
It is now 45 and still dropping. It's been raining all day. And
yeah.
Like hopefully this is the last time we're in the 40s for the year this week.
So we
Not
just
for
got
the year, for the season.
got,
I mean, I guess it'll happen in the fall.
We just got snow dumped on us over the weekend, like just a ton of snow. And then it's supposed to be like 70 this weekend.
That'll be fun and slushy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gross. Do you have to worry about flooding? Not you personally, but like the greater Salt Lake area?
We will need to worry about flooding, particularly this year, because there was such a big snowpack. That and if the warmer months come as quickly as we're anticipating, then it's very possible, especially with the amount of rain that we've also been getting, that we might get flooding. There hasn't been a really big flood in Salt Lake City since like '83, I think, but a couple years ago there were parts of Salt Lake City that got a little bit flooded, and people had some water damage and stuff. We were never in the affected areas, and I think our new place is higher elevation. So I think that we'll probably miss the dodge it again this time. But yeah, it's definitely a thing.
How will that impact the Great Salt Lake?
Not enough. Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake has risen. I want to say like, well, I don't think it's risen 2 feet, but it's come out further. The thing about the Great Salt Lake, and the thing that makes it tricky, is it's really shallow, and it's always been really shallow. And so it's really big but really shallow, which means that it just like when it's gone, it's kind of just gone. And there's not enough, and a lot of the runoff that would otherwise flow into the Salt Lake is being captured by like agricultural interests. So the Great Salt Lake isn't getting the
That
stuff.
phrasing was amazing. Like I'm imagining a guy like on the back of a horse with like buckets of water buckets capturing this water before it gets to the Salt Lake,
I mean,
hijacking a train, as it were.
yeah, it's not that far off. I mean, it's not buckets of water. It's probably, like pipelines and whatnot. But yeah, it's basically that thing just turned into capitalism.
If I learned anything in the last decade, it's that pipelines for anything are terrible. I don't know what they're for, but every pipeline story I've heard in the last decade, I'm like, oh, that sucks. I've never heard a pipeline story. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
ChatGPT did a better job of writing a poem, or doing a better job of telling a sock story in the style of Dr. Seuss. It immediately understood the rhyming need and also pattern, I think, without me having to tell it. So it's already out of the gate. Bard is inferior to ChatGPT.
Who makes Bard?
Google.
Oh, what's Microsoft's AI called?
Microsoft is investing in OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. Oh no, well no, yes, Microsoft is investing in OpenAI, but Bing Chat is their thing, which uses OpenAI, but is like their
They went
own
with
sort of
Bing
fork.
Chat as the name.
Yeah, it's called Bing Chat.
Maybe they should call WPE and hire some marketing people, for God's sakes.
I mean,
get that bird in this episode. Yes.
the code name is Sydney, but that's not what they're calling it.
That's better than Bing
It is.
Chat.
It is. Once upon a time in a land far away, there lived a sock named Sam, all alone each day. Sam had a mate, a sock just like he, but one day they were separated. Oh me, oh my.
Oh my,
Sam's,
oh me would be
yeah,
better.
exactly. Oh my, oh me is better. Sam's solitary sock story had just begun. As he sat alone under the bright sun, he watched the world go by, and he wondered why he was left behind, feeling so shy. He tried to hop, he tried to jump, but without his mate, he felt like a grump. He sat and he thought, what should I do? Without his mate, he felt so blue.
I feel blue for Sam.
But then he had an idea, something quite grand. He'd go on an adventure all across the land. He'd search high and low, near and far, until he found his mate with the help of a star. He set off on a journey with a hop and a skip through fields and forests. He didn't slip. He asked everyone he met, have you seen my mate? No one had. They shook their heads and said, wait.
I pictured the dirtiest sock going through all of these things.
It rains eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Unlike the other story where it was all about the sock getting lost in the laundry, at least you know it's clean.
Yeah.
He set off on his journey with a hop and a skip through fields and forests. Okay, I said that one. Sam was starting to feel quite low, but he didn't give up. No, no, no. He kept on searching day and night until one day he saw a sight. There was his mate hanging onto a line, dancing in the wind, looking quite fine.
So it's all clean in the laundry.
When you really want to ask, how sexy was that sock?
I got some sock stories.
Sam hopped and he jumped with all his might until he reached his mate. Such a beautiful sight. They were reunited, the socks once more, and they danced and they sang like never before. Sam's solitary sock story had come to an end with a happy ending. He had found his best friend. So the next time you lose a sock, don't you fret. Just remember Sam's story and don't forget that anything's possible if you try. You'll always find your way if you don't say die.
What in the world?
Wow, it got real stark there at the end. It's very Goonies Never Say Die.
Yes, right.
All right. That's
now when we picture the sock, how do we think the sock moves? Is it like a snake or does it have like more of a hopping motion?
I'm imagining like an earthworm. Like
earthworm?
Yeah.
Like toe first.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Um,
These are the important. These are the important things in my mind.
What?
It's
Yeah. How could nobody how could neither of these AI nope. How could neither of these AIs resist the urge to drop in like a darn it? I feel like that's like low hanging fruit and a sock joke built in.
because that requires the capacity to understand puns.
It requires human intelligence,
That's just
which is so sad.
I
I know
mean,
that actually kind of broke my heart a little bit. Like,
yeah.
oh, all right. Well, I guess darn it. I'll write that book.
There's still a
What are
chance.
some?
You can tour the local public library system.
The other day, Rhonda took Charlotte to school, and Katie had, I don't know if she had a hold or she just urgently needed to go to the library. I'm not sure which. Um, and so they took Charlotte, and then on the drive home, Rhonda was like, what time does the library open?" And Katie's like, "I don't know." And it was like a couple hours later. It just had not crossed anybody's mind that it might be closed at that point in the day, which was like 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. It was not early, but also I get it. And he still got to go to the library that day, so all is well.
Do your kids have their own library cards?
Oh yes, and Katie has like, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating when I say it says she has 4 dozen books on hold.
Yeah, like a prolific type of borrowing situation.
Oh yeah, and if she like if something she's looking for isn't there, she'll just check out a book she's read before. She's like, I liked it before. I'll probably like it again. Kill it.
I mean, that's the age to do that because books aren't so long that it stops you from rereading them.
Yeah. Yep. She's whenever we FaceTime with my parents, I'm like, hold on, Katie's got to finish the chapter she's on before she chats with you, or page, or whatever, pending the book.
Get to a stopping point.
Yeah,
yeah.
I get it. I'm like, take your time. You got to get in a spot where it's it makes sense. You can't just middle of a paragraph.
Mm.
I always have to go back a few paragraphs anyway.
Yeah. Maybe AI can get on this thing. Like, how about when you open a book up that you've been reading and you weren't able to stop? Like, maybe you could do like the previously and give me like a highlight of the last 3 or 4 pages I read. How about that, Kindle? Let's get on that. Is Amazon working on an AI?
Amazon is not working on an AI.
Yeah.
But they have machine learning built into AWS stuff.
Did you see that? I don't know. Maybe this is more commonplace in the States. I don't know. I haven't seen it like in action, but I guess at Walgreens they have like if you're going to get a soda or milk or something from the refrigeration aisle, they have the screens that like show you what's in the what used to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've not experienced that.
But they show you ads until you get close enough, and then the camera has facial recognition and recognizes that there's a person there. And then supposedly those things are also like obviously tracking your habits and
start wearing a mask again.
Yeah, and I was just like, not that I'm going to Walgreens anyway, but like
I went into Walgreens yesterday, but it wasn't anywhere near the coolers. I did not see this if my local Walgreens even has it.
I haven't been to a Walgreens here, just because it's not the closest in any.
Walgreens also like gives their employees permission to be like, no, we're not selling you Plan B and all this. So
yeah,
there's a lot of reasons to not be going to Walgreens.
Yeah,
I just thought it was interesting because I was just like, Walgreens is just an example of one of many places that will probably instigate this type of technology.
I really should start wearing a mask when I go out, like to corporate places. Although, where do I go inside? I don't go inside anywhere. Grocery stores. Like, I go inside a grocery store.
My grocery store does not have the technology. They might someday, I guess, but not yet.
I've got
so Gary, to answer your earlier question about why did the AI not come up with the darn it pun?
Did you ask it?
Well, no, I did ask.
Now you planted that idea in its head, and so
I
now
asked
all sock
Bard. I
conversations will
asked
be
Bard to give me some puns,
yeah.
and when I asked it to give me some puns, some new puns, um, about half of them are okay and legitimate puns, and the other half are just like they don't make any sense. Then they asked me, "What are some puns you know about socks?" And not a single one of them has "darn it" in it. So I think it's just because yeah, AIs are bad at puns.
No, it's the source set. Now that we've
I do
said
love
this, and it will be scanned by someone, and it'll end up, in the source data, and we've ruined it. I've ruined it.
I do love the idea of puns that don't make sense from a computer though, because it's like when kids are on the cusp of understanding sarcasm, they're like
Mhm.
just so close to getting why things are funny, and so then they're trying to like come up with jokes, and you're just like, oh, you're so close, like you're so close, and it's funny, but not because of the reasons you think it's funny.
like a pun that I came up with was I used to be a painter, but I was always getting into fights. I used to be a
I'm
teacher, but
actually
I was
pretty
always getting
happy that
detention.
my VoIP phone number won't validate with OpenAI, so I can play with ChatGPT. The thing I really want it for is stupid computer programming stuff anyway. I want to be like, uh, build me the database migration for this Laravel model. It's
I've
like
had
a
it help
class of
me. I've had it help me for a few things. It hasn't like spit out code that I can use, but it basically has helped me like create a structure of logic that I can then go off of.
I asked it to write a plugin for me based on something that somebody posted in post status because I wanted them to publish it so that I could see how they did it, and it didn't write me the plugin, but it did give me like the functional code that the plugin would need to do the thing that I wanted to know about, and in so doing showed me an API endpoint I didn't know existed that actually existed and was legit. So like that was pretty cool. And that was the Chat GPT. I've used Bing Chat. I used Bing Chat the other day and this actually did write me a plugin to write a WordPress plugin that would use one additional layer of depth for your media file uploads. So instead of like year month day,
yeah.
And it wrote code that looks legit. I haven't tested it, but it seems legit. Um, so yeah, for code things, especially for things that have a fair bit of like documentation out in the world, and like it lives on Stack Exchange and GitHub and whatever, where it can like crawl the data. It does a pretty good job. Bard does not do code yet, notably.
And I am a hypocrite because I pay for Copilot at GitHub, and I can't imagine writing a lot of software without it. It's just good at finding
Yeah,
like what's that function, like what comes first and all that
what
kind of
I
like
what I've
great.
found is that ChatGPT and Bing Chat do like it's like the next step on from Copilot. Like I want to do a thing and I don't really know how to get started or I don't know how to do it exactly. And it will be like, okay, yeah, I'll do that thing for you. And maybe I mean,
Mm.
and with the same like treat it the same you would any suggestion from GitHub Copilot, right? Like maybe this is legit or maybe this is going to blow some shit up. We'll
Yeah,
have
git
to
commit
try it
dash m
out.
YOLO push.
Yeah.
That's how I yeah. Joking aside a little bit. I uh I I need an AI that dissuades me from doing things because that would even be better. Like, oh, here's a model in Laravel that has like 26 properties and they're mixed integers and floats. Like, I need the migration for this. And I want the AI to be like, maybe you should go outside and enjoy the
Oh, I can be that for
rain.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. So
really
I should
good.
just
You
Like
don't need
I'm
an
a
AI for that, is what we're saying.
I should just
I'm a
Need
stage a
great.
human
DevOps like, hey,
beings
I'm
in your
thinking about
life.
doing ... And people are like, do something else with your life.
Why don't you go pick an apple from a tree, Gary?
Yeah, it's not quite time.
No.
I cannot wait when that. Oh, so excited about apple season. God.
No, but I can be a very good enabler to not do things like that.
Maybe you should read a book.
Yeah.
Let me review the last 5 pages you read. Oh,
Not
damn
only
it.
that, but I could suggest an actual book.
Mm.
That's the key.
I am 4 books ahead, apparently, of my Goodreads goal of reading 50
Oh,
books this year.
well
When that
done.
sentence started, you said, I'm 4 books, and there was a pause before ahead. I'm like, me too. Like thinking you were like not anti-book, which I knew, but
4 books.
like,
Wouldn't that be the deal breaker where we're like, what? It's against books.
in favor of books. Where's it have my goals?
all right, well let's talk book
There,
suggestions then.
reading a
I'm game
challenge.
for something
Yes.
that obviously has to
Oh,
take
now it says I'm
take
3
place
books ahead of schedule. I fell
in
behind.
space.
Okay. Well, I have 2 books on my desk and I will recommend them lickety
Okay.
split.
Let me open up my notes
Undrowned.
app.
Undrowned Black Feminist Lessons for Marine Mammals is one of my all-time favorite books.
Wait, say it again.
Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. Marine
Marine
Mammals.
Mammals, Undrowned by
Oh,
Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Exhibited by all the tabs I have in it.
Alexis.
It's half memoir, half facts about marine mammals. It's lovely. And if you love that, but you want it more in the vein of like queerness, it's How Far the Light Reaches, A Life in 10 Sea Creatures by Sabrina
What?
Miller. So I've got kind of an aquatic memoir theme for my recommendations.
So much like Gary's stock tips, we have Allison's book recommendation corner is the new segment.
Yeah. And those are both lovely.
I'm sorry, the only books that I can recommend are romance novels. Those are the only books that I read now.
Have you read any Tessa Dare yet?
Tessa Dare, no.
No. Okay.
No, but I'm reading. Now I need to go back into Goodreads to find the author of the books that I am reading right now. Talia Hibbert.
Okay, cool. She does the Evie Brown books?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm reading the Eve Brown one. I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown.
Cool.
Those are like, I like them because they, perhaps more so than other things, although most of the stuff that Erin has recommended to me sort of fits in this category, but she deliberately chooses to write about like problems, quote unquote, like struggles that people have, like disabilities or mental health or whatever, and it's just a part of the scenery that's just there, and it's dealt with in a way that like people are respectful of it, and like they talk about perhaps like I struggled with this in the past and people were assholes, but like the people that are in the story that you're reading are all like pretty like understanding, and it's not like nobody's getting treated like shit or anything. And it's nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it deals with the hard things, but also with the not hard things, and
And I find that like, at least in those books, usually like the big narrative hurdle doesn't necessarily have to do with whatever, like the neurodivergence or the whatever it is. Like, sometimes it's a miscommunication around it, but like most of the time it's not like the main, oh no, this needs to be fixed type of deal.
Yeah, one, it also doesn't play necessarily like the bromance books are very big on like the arc where at the like the end of like the middle third there's like or like right before the end there's the moment where there needs to be the grand gesture, and like that's the big thing, and like these books are more like it's just kind of following this relationship progression, and then like yeah, there's a moment where like things get rough, but it's not like running into the wedding chapel like with the whole crowd and like making the big public demonstration. It's more like let's have a conversation and just talk about our feelings.
Yeah, the roughness is like not low stakes, but kind of like a cozy stake.
Yeah.
So Allison, you're like physical Dead Tree edition. Chris, are you digital? Are you Dead Tree?
I've been reading all of these things on my Kindle specifically, the Kindle that I
So
got for
and so, are you buying from Amazon on Kindle?
yes.
Where I'm headed with this is how do you
How do you get
it
books onto a Kindle that with if you don't use Amazon?
well or what's I mean what's a better place to get digital
You
books?
can get stuff from the library, um, oftentimes. Um, there is the Gutenberg project, unrelated to WordPress,
Yeah.
gutenberg.org, where you can get like, stuff that's in public domain. If you have the means of getting digital books in any other format than whatever the Kindle format is, there is a project, an app called Caliber,
I've used Caliber.
which
Yeah.
allows you to convert files from one type to another type, which I've used quite a bit. So if you're able to find those books otherwise in EPUB format or something, then you can convert them to
Yeah.
whatever
But there's
your
not like
device
a
uses.
good digital bookstore that's not Amazon is the answer.
I
Potentially
mean,
the
Barnes
library.
and Noble,
Are they any
I,
better than Amazon?
I don't know.
Okay.
They're probably not any, they're probably not that much worse.
Isn't there, what's the one that connects you to local bookstores and then you can buy either real copies or e-copies from them?
Oh,
Um,
hold on. I vaguely am aware of that.
is it
Um,
like, is it just bookshop.org? I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
I will
I'm
find
like
out.
literally talking on a computer and I'm turning to use my iPad to look up my local bookstore to see if they
I
have.
believe it's bookshop.org, and I think it connects you. It basically, I think, helps donate some money or portions to the local bookstore. I'm not quite sure how it works because I don't think they have it.
Bookshop.org is definitely a thing. Um, Supports local bookstores, a better way to buy books online. If I click on a book like that one,
But that might be, it might be real copies, not just e-copies. So
yeah, well, I don't, yeah, this one is definitely a real copy. I was actually reading a thing recently about, so Internet Archive, uh, wanted to do, like, when COVID hit and all the libraries closed down, they did this national emergency library thing where they started scanning tons of books and you could check out books from their library. And they're getting in legal trouble from actual libraries and publishers, because the whole point of with libraries is that they need to pay a license to the publisher to have a certain number of copies of that book, and they have to renew that, and the license is only good for a certain number of years. And so basically, our Internet Archive was like, they're just going to circumvent that shit and like just make it available because information needs to be free, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um,
Yeah, fuck
and
the police.
Yeah, so there's a lot of legal things having to do with digital copies of books, and oh my God, they've got an infinite scroll and I can't get down to their footer. Okay.
something, I don't know if this is as viable of an option in the States as it is in Canada, but there's Kobo as well. In Canada, you can't connect to the libraries using a Kindle. So I have a Kobo, and I avoid Amazon anyway when I can. Kobo is still like, a conglomerate, but you can get ebooks from kobobooks.com. And then I
Kobo.
also have mine hooked up to my library, so I can just rent books from there.
Yeah, we have our oats with a K. Our library hooks into Libby, which
Yeah,
then
same.
has a Kindle integration
Well,
specifically.
I know what I'm researching this weekend.
But yeah, Kobo.com, Kobo is a thing, and it does have ebook section. Seems legit. And also audiobooks.
Yeah.
And apparently they have their own e-readers.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
I'm
aware
too
of
busy
Kobo.
Googling.
I didn't know that they
Right.
I don't have mine within reach, but it looks, I mean, it's comparable to a Kindle. It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar.
I think the only difference in models is like between the like waterproof and this, and then like whether you want buttons or if you're fine just touching the
Waterproof.
screen and changing the
Oh,
page.
I like that. Sit in the tub with your Kindle or your Kobo then.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're planting all sorts of reading seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Stock tip of the week.
Got a minute.
Buy index funds. Market's kind of churny right now. Just be safe. Put your money in, leave it there, let it work. Don't take it out for a while.
I don't
That's
know,
important.
something about you saying be safe. I just pictured you in like a crossing guard outfit.
Yeah, it's a very boring stop. That's not a spicy take.
I didn't need it to be a spicy take. It's
It's
my
true.
it's my honest analysis. For
Gary's-
We're
this.
not here
Gary's
for the
honest.
spice.
Well, I'm here for the
Which
spice.
is why, well, it's actually why I'm, writing models in Laravel with 26 properties. Like, do you know what the EV over EBITDA is? Nope.
So
Me
I
neither.
have my reading recommendations. Gary has the stock tips, and then we'll head over to Chris for his spicy hot takes.
Spicy hot takes. I don't have a spicy hot take this week. I mean, I probably do actually. What
You
is
do,
it spicy?
it's in there.
Thank you for listening to Binary Jazz. If you like this episode, you can subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can visit us online at binaryjazz.us or follow us on Twitter at binaryjazz. Special thanks to Serpiente Negra Ensemble for the use of their tracks for our intro and outro music. You can find them online at serpientenegra.bandcamp.com. Don't forget that you can ask us a question through the forum on the website or on Twitter, and we'll read it aloud on the next episode of Binary Jazz.